Amidst all the shenanigans surrounding AAA games, it's always nice to get the perspective of indie developers and the integrity that they're always willing to show coming from a place of really just wanting to make something that they're passionate about and wanting to share that passion with people. And look, not to say that AAA game developers aren't passionate about their work, but when you see how those projects are handled, how monetization elements are seeped in, it's always clear that they're beholden to somebody above them. Whether it's corporate demands, whether it's the investors who make those corporate demands happen, you can just see with the majority of AAA projects that they have to, on some level, make creative compromises and business compromises that lead to just less consumer-friendly results. But indie developers who are who make the game out of just sheer wanting to make something that they want to make, that they want to play, and that are self-published and are beholden to nobody, the attitude and the intent is just so clearly different. And that's what we're seeing with the developer of Stardew Valley. Let's first talk about the fact that this indie project is like Exhibit A of how to do indie right, and proof that it is entirely possible to go off on your own and become a massive success. Not to say that it is a guarantee. Obviously, there's always a risk when you're an indie developer, but this is one of those success stories that I think is inspiring. Stardew Valley being sort of a farming sim style game. And look at the overwhelmingly positive score that it has maintained throughout the years. It is at 98% across all reviews and across recent reviews. Over 627, almost 628,000 reviews, and it's still at an overwhelmingly positive score of 98%. The developer is Concerned Ape, as well as the publisher. This is a self-published game, and it is easily one of the most successful indie games of all time. And the retention surrounding this game is still insane. Like the last time I checked, the 24-hour peak was sitting at 116,000 players. And so you can see that players are still coming back to this game. And this is one of those games that has seen immense growth throughout the years. Like you look at this chart from its launch all the way to where it's now, and it's growing almost like you'd expect a live service to grow. And in some ways, given the consistency and cadence and substance of updates, you would almost think this is a live service, but it's just a game you pay one time for and you get everything, including its DLC, which is all free. But this is ultimately a single player game with multiplayer features that's seeing this kind of growth. It's actually just insane. And the fact that it peaked back in 2024 at over 236,000 players, just crazy, the success story that is this indie title. And that's because the updates surrounding it have been really consistent. Back in March, we saw the release of Stardew Valley 1.6 and how that became available on PC. And I mean, you look at the list of changes for Stardew Valley 1.6, and it's insane the amount of features that this game has consistently added throughout the course of years. You'd almost think like this is like DLC level stuff that the game would charge money for, but this game has not once charged money for its DLC and is sold at a very affordable price of $15, and that has remained the case for all the time that this game has been out. And the game has also been ported to numerous platforms. I mean, just looking at some of the features that were included with version 1.6, it added new farm types, festivals, character dialogue, mastery perks, and the ability to have more than one pet at once. It fixed some stuff. Fans are now waiting for those changes to make their way over to the mobile version of the game and for Stardew Valley on PC to get its next big expansion. So there are ports of the game like the Switch version and the like that have yet to receive the 1.6 update. But in a tweet that comes from the official Concerned Ape Twitter page, there's an update here that reads, the ports and next PC update are still in progress. I know it is taking a long time. It's on my mind every minute. I've personally been working on the mobile port every day. I will announce when there's any meaningful news, like a release date. Hope you're having a good summer. The communication from Concerned Ape has always been top-notch, always very considerate, and given the goodwill that this game has built up, people are more than happy to wait as long as it takes because they know that this stuff takes time, and when Concerned Ape releases an update, they want to make sure that it's in the best state possible and are willing to give Concerned Ape the good grace given all the goodwill that they've built up. But then comes this really awesome tweet in response to this individual who said, as long as everything you add is completely free with a bunch of new content, quality of life, etc., people won't complain for the wait. Thanks for your dedicated love for your game. And the response provided here is just something you would never see with many AAA projects. He said right here, I swear on the honor of my family name, I will never charge money for a DLC or update for as long as I live. Screen cap this and shame me if I ever violate this oath. By the way, I'm not criticizing devs who do charge for DLC. Everyone's circumstances are different. This is just my own approach and not to be taken as a critique of anyone else, which is very, very honorable to say. But yeah, this is the model that this developer has decided to stick with. And in a landscape, as far as AAA is concerned, where promises are constantly broken about how, we're not going to do this kind of monetization ever, and then they try to push the boundaries, or they claim that they're going to be consumer friendly, and then they go ahead and try to pull some bullshit and have to retract, or, do the whole 2 steps forward and 1 step back maneuver. In a landscape where deceit and attempts to screw over consumers and their goodwill and their loyalty towards a AAA game is constant, seeing an indie developer not only say something like this and kind of become something you should put up on a pedestal in terms of the attitude you should approach game development with, but also actually fulfill those promises through action, it's just really encouraging to see, and further highlights that so much of the future of gaming will be based on the efforts of indie developers who put out some of the most creative, innovative, and kind of coming from a place of goodwill projects that we've ever seen and that we will ever see. Not to say that the indie landscape is perfect. We have seen, attempted scams and shovelware and the like. We have seen certain indie developers and publishers get overzealous. Escape from Tarkov has recently faced some controversies with the handling of upcoming expansions and the like. So those scenarios do exist, and we have seen some scummy indie developers or companies. I feel like it's commonplace anytime a live service is attempted. Like whenever it's just a game you pay one time for, it's always just, the projects that come out of that are always so pure. Once you implement the live service element into it and the constant monetization required to run a game like that, that's when we always start seeing just some of the worst that can be brought out in a game developer. But when you find those good indie devs, of which there are so many, I feel like the majority really come from a place of goodwill, you never have to expect the messaging of we're listening. They don't have to say we're listening because they actually just are listening. You know what I mean? Whereas like a lot of AAA publishers, they have to put out these statements saying we're listening after the backlash, but nobody believes we're listening anymore because if they had been listening, they wouldn't have attempted the bullshit that they try to pull in the first place with something like Stardew Valley. They're just reinforcing their past promises that they have kept. They don't have to say, we have listened to your feedback or we're listening. They're just saying, I have principles, I have a philosophy, and just rest assured that I'm sticking with them. And you know that they will. Just in recent years, I can think of the ways that AAA companies have kind of lied or kind of decided to present things in a way that was misleading. So Suicide Squad Killed the Justice League, for example, they said that new characters like the Joker, you would not have to pay for them and that you have access to them And so what they did was that they provided an option to pay so that Joker could be unlocked instantly. But for those who don't pay, you have to go through this insufferable grind to unlock him without paying. So technically, yes, you can unlock the Joker by playing the game, but that method is just such a pain in the butt and so not fun that you're kind of incentivized to pay for the Joker. And so they technically didn't lie, but they didn't share their plans fully and ultimately ended up doing something scummy. They ended up engaging in a bit of a subterfuge that wasn't entirely honest. You think about the way Apex Legends recently decided to cut the battle pass in half and charge full price for both, effectively doubling the price, on top of the fact that they decided to disable the ability for players to use Apex coins in order to purchase those battle passes, effectively removing players' ability to earn battle passes through gameplay, something that they did eventually walk back after intense backlash. But you can see all these constant attempts to push the goalposts and the boundaries of what they can get away with. And it's just such a stark contrast. And I even think back to the promise that Ubisoft made surrounding The Division when they promised that there will be no microtransactions and definitely no pay to win in that game. This was all the way back in 2016, and this was one of the most blatantly broken promises we have ever seen. So this has been going on for many, many years, and this is a consistent, recurring pattern. And while not all AAA developers are like that, and some do offer a lot of goodwill content, the vast majority, again, you get that sense of like they're beholden to corporate mandates and investors. And so plans shift when certain financial quotas aren't met, or when corporate mandates necessitate a game becoming less consumer friendly and breaking past promises. And so that kind of liberty that indie developers have to not be beholden to any of that shit and to actually be able to uphold promises like, I swear on the honor of my family name that I'll never charge money for a DLC or update for as long as I live, and be confident in believing that promise, be confident in knowing that this developer has upheld that promise all these years, and there's no reason for them to break that promise, because for this developer, they're not trying to chase infinite growth, infinite money. They've already more than succeeded with this game. With the sales that we have seen surrounding this game, even at $15, this game has made so much money for the developer. Like, they're already set for life. They could just live off of Stardew Valley sales forever, and they don't want more. Now it's just about like giving back for this developer. It's like that's just the kind of mentality that is impossible in a corporate world where enough is never enough. This almost feels like the No Man's Sky scenario where like every major update surrounding that game has been completely free, or like a Warframe kind of model where every major expansion adds so much to the game to the point where it almost like overhauls the experience. And all of that stuff has always been free, except unlike No Man's Sky, which did fuck up at the beginning and lied about a bunch of stuff and are only now making up for it through those free updates. And unlike Warframe, which does have, microtransactions and monetization and all these things that people are willing to tolerate because of just how major the content additions are, this right here, Stardew Valley, is just a bona fide $15 full-fledged experience with nothing else to it, which had a great launch and has only continued to thrive since, and that continues to fulfill its consumer-friendly promises, continues to show a certain level of loyalty, gratitude, and grace. This is one of those games that is both a massive success and its reputation is like completely pristine. There's nothing I can think of that generated any kind of backlash. This overwhelmingly positive has been the vibe of the game since day one, since frickin' 2016. Stuff like this just reminds me that despite all the coverage of like the negative elements in the games industry, success stories like these and wholesome stories like these highlight that there will always be developers who will be sort of the complete opposite, complete counters to all of the AAA BS, and that it's not all bad, and that there's always going to be developers who I think will, in the long run, be on the right side of gaming history and be remembered as paragons of what makes the games industry shine. And so, yeah, I don't know. I just wanted to give this developer kudos, and hopefully the positivity surrounding the model that this developer is pursuing and just the way they carry themselves is something that will inspire future developers. Not saying never charge money for DLC or anything like that. What I'm saying is just like, be reasonable, be gracious, and if you can afford it, be giving, as much as you can. If you've already made all the money you can make, and it's more than sufficient, then, just like, what's the need for more? If like you've already got everything you could ever want, you know what I mean? It's like, well, the pursuit for more when there's no need for more is what's corrupting so much of the artistry of game making. Not to say that there's anything wrong with the pursuit of more. Like, I think it's just human nature to always look towards the future and want to pursue new ambitions. But when more comes at the sacrifice of integrity and certain moral boundaries, which is so much of what can happen in the AAA games industry landscape, that's when lines, I think, have to be drawn. With the success of Stardew Valley, this developer doesn't have to concern themselves with that. And so they have this immense freedom to be gracious. They don't have to be, but that's what they choose to be. And that's just freaking awesome. Or at the very least, that's one man's take. Let me know in the comments below what your thoughts and opinions are on Stardew Valley, its journey and success and growth throughout the years, and just the positivity that this game has been able to maintain alongside this most recent statement, the commitment to being gracious. Share your thoughts in the comments below, and to be further updated on all things gaming news, reviews, and discussions, stay tuned right here on Young Yeah. I'll see you guys next time. Young out.